Hey, 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 everybody. Welcome to Critical Conversations for today. Let me make sure we're all good here. Oh, we are wonderful. For this Friday, August 18th, in the year of our Lord, 2023, another Friday afternoon. Yes, exactly. Hey, everybody. I am so happy to be here with you. And as you can see, again, I am not joined by my beautiful wife, Melissa, but I am pretty sure that that will be a changing situation in the next week or two. And I do have a little bit of ranting about something on that topic, but I will not start the show with that. We're going to start with some funner things, as we usually are wont to do. In fact, I am a little remiss. Oh, I have to ask you guys first, very, very, very first thing. I'm going to stop talking for a second, and I need you to listen and tell me, do you hear any hum or noise or anything like that in the background? If you do, let me know in the comments, because I have an AC unit going in the room now, and it's night and day in terms of comfort level. This room could get really hot. There's electronic stuff and my computer and various things in here, and we have all the windows closed and stuff for noise purposes. And so sometimes things get okay, good. Yeah, air conditioning. I hear background noise. Okay, so some of you do and some of you don't. Okay, good. All right. Well, I'm going to keep it, and if it is bothersome or if it becomes a problem, definitely let me know, and I'm happy to turn it off, but it is providing me with a great deal of comfort. You guys don't know, but usually when we're in here, we're really hot, and, you know, I'm already pretty hot, but you know what I mean. Okay, so, yeah, so we're definitely going to keep that on if we can. All right. So also, I am last minute doing this. Yeah. Okay. I was just looking at some quotes here because 55 positive thinking quotes. I know I'm doing this totally last minute, but you know what? Here's the best one, right at the top. Friends are the family we choose. Oh, I actually read that and I immediately thought of you guys. Yeah, Melissa's definitely hotter. That is absolutely true. Okay, let's do some Benson Cam. Then I will rant for a little bit, and then we'll get into some stuff because we have I have papers to with words on them to share with you. But let's do a little bit of Benson Cam first. Here is our Snuggles Not Struggles Cam for the week. This is our lovely fur baby Benson the Magnificent. If you want to refer to him on Twitter, or social media, it's always hashtag Benson the Magnificent. And he is there on our living room couch. That is actually his perch. I finally got him up on his throne. That's where he sits, right above where I sit. That is right where I usually am on the couch, and he sits right above me, and he just yawns and he smacks his lips like that. It drives me crazy, that sound. It's like one of those chewing sounds that drives some people crazy. Him smacking his lips does that for me, but otherwise he is awesome possum all around. So that's him hanging out. Yeah, there's our so there's our Snuggles Not Struggles for the week. Yeah, Benson is definitely a happy boy. We had him checked a few weeks ago. We got his heartworm shots or whatever, and they checked him out and said he's fine, and everything's great with that. So we're very happy about that. Okay. So I'm going to rant for a second about something. You know, I'm all about medicines. I'm all about treatment. I'm all about people going and using science to make the world a better place. But, you know, sometimes side effects really, really, really suck. And sometimes side effects for new medications or new wonder drugs are not necessarily highlighted as they should be. Or maybe, you know, sometimes we can say, well, maybe they didn't know. But other times I kind of think Yeah, or maybe they just kind of pushed that down to the bottom of the list and didn't talk about it too much, even though they were fully aware of that. And I don't know if that is the case here, but, I am swinishly suspicious of corporations, and I am suspicious of big pharma, even though I am a proponent of medical assistance for psychiatric or psychological issues. I think it's a very, very individual context-specific thing. I think it's something that has to be monitored. I think the levels and degree of responsibility that are taken in this and the care that's given in prescribing medications is not really the best on average in this country, and I could go on and on and on. But what I'm going to talk about here really fast is this new substance, this new drug called Ozempic. And I don't know all about it. I don't even know who makes it. What I know is that my wife is diabetic and she was put onto it. And that was not done for weight loss. A lot of people are taking Ozempic for weight loss, but that's not what it's for. It was developed for diabetes, for insulin regulation and control. And apparently it really helps with that and brings down the A1C. And that's a number that is important to diabetics as far as their, sugar, glucose tolerance, that kind of thing. So, yeah, exactly, Angel Hugger. It's just effects. Exactly. It's just effects. And so one of the apparent side effects of Ozempic is that it can increase depression and depressive mood swing issues. And so that is apparently what we believe part of what we're dealing with. And I am just not real happy about that because it took us a lot of digging to find that that was even a possibility as a problem. We did not think Ozempic could even have that as an effect or issue, but apparently it does. It's not common. It's not broadly the problem that it's causing depression in a bunch of people. Well, I'm not implying that. It's not necessarily a huge issue per reports that it's increasing depressive or anxiety symptoms in lots and lots of people. I am not saying it is, but I am saying that the numbers that it is creating that in, or could be creating that in, people might want to be more aware of that because when that kind of thing happens, it's just not fun. Is the exact opposite of fun, especially for the person who's in that position. And of course, I'm speaking for Mel there. So it's just been, ups, downs, sideways, and various things. And we believe that that's the time coincident cause of the problem. It was, she starts that, and then shortly thereafter are these issues. And so she gave me permission to talk about this today. So that's as much as I'll share about it. But I wanted to kind of share that with you guys because, forewarned is forearmed. And I think that caution is always called for when it comes to prescribing medications or getting on to new medications. And Ozempic is a drug that is taken weekly. So when you take it, you get a whole week's supply. So if you want to get off of it, you got to wait a week. We came to learn this last week. That's been the fun and games of that. So anyway, that's Mel's doing totally fine. She's in the living room watching TV right now, and life goes on, right? But it's just kind of one of those things that you're like, man, this was unnecessary. Maybe this was unnecessary. Maybe if we had known that this combined with these other things might have created issues, maybe there could have been other conversations. So putting it out there for you guys so you know. All right, now, moving on. I'm going to get off my rant box now. And, of course, yeah, everything I'm saying might be not the problem. Could be something else entirely, and we'll find out. But as I said, right now, that seems to be the date coincident issue. Okay, so this has been a pretty, besides that whole thing, things have been pretty good lately. Things have been calming down a bit. Leah's lawsuit is going through the system. We're all pretty pumped about that. I had some nice words with her. She's awesome. Leah is, and I just wish her nothing but success in this thing. It's going to be a long, protracted battle, and we're really just getting going. So it'll be something on this. Yeah, the two changes. Well, it's interesting because they're very organic. X-Cyan is asking me your thoughts on the multiple changes of judges in the Leah Remini, Remini Scientology case. So both of them were completely ordinary, though. There's nothing nefarious or even suspicious about the changes. There was a judge assigned. Judges are assigned randomly to cases. Leah's team didn't want that judge, so they randomly got another judge, and that judge recused herself. We don't know why. At least I don't know right now as I sit here why. Tony reported this morning that the judge might have had some connection of some kind. Her husband might be working for a law firm that is somehow connected with something in some fashion. We don't know. But she recused herself, and good for her. If she is compromised or is there, there's some problem or connection, that's exactly what she should do. So I don't see nefarious problems or issues there in that so far. Yeah, that's exactly what I saw. And talking about that, yeah. Oh, that's for sure, Anthony. Okay, well, speaking of cults. Okay, so in preparation for the 400th episode of my Sensibly Speaking podcast. 400. I'm sorry, but I am definitely going to, humble brag, not humble brag. That's a lot of podcasting. I have been doing podcasting for a long time. Like I said with my Q&A shows, I never imagined hundreds of those episodes. I never imagined years and years of them. The questions just keep coming on a podcast. The subjects just keep coming. The interviews keep coming. It's not hard to, it hasn't been at least hard to come up with content or continue to provide podcast episodes every week. And I have hit most weeks. It's been 50. I don't do seasons. I don't know about these wimps who go off and do these podcasts of 12 episodes and they're done for the year. I'm like, yeah, okay, amateur. If I'm on a podcast, I'm on a podcast. So so I've been podcasting hardcore for years and years now. It's the second oldest continuous piece of content that I offer is my podcast, and so it's been awesome. So I thought, what should I do for my 400th episode? Well, cults, coercive control. Movie reviews, we've been talking about movie reviews a bit lately. That's been coming up in some of my Q&As as well. And I thought, oh my God, what perfect timing to do a review of How to Become a Cult Leader, the Netflix series, narrated by Peter Dinklage, in the same line and theme as How to Become a Dictator or Tyrant. Both series I liked, and I'll talk in more detail tomorrow about my thoughts about that show. I watched the entire thing two times through. I actually wrote down the Cult Leader's playbook from the episodes. I don't think anybody's done that. I couldn't find any record anywhere of anybody doing that. And I thought, let's take a good look at this. How accurate are they? How good was the show? How worthy of it is of that title of How to Become a Cult Leader? I'll just tell you right now, it's pretty good. Yeah. So there you go. So tomorrow at 11 a.m. my time, Mountain Standard, I will be, or Mountain Time, I guess it is right now. I'll be doing live Sensibly Speaking podcast right here. So I hope you guys will be able to join me tomorrow for that. And we're going to go over that show point by point and kind of see what we come up with. Tonight, I'm offering up. Last week, I got this episode, this thing that I'm going to go over here, was what I was going to do. Oh, Henny, sorry. It's the How to Become a Cult Leader. Is the show I'm going to be reviewing tomorrow on the podcast. Sorry if that wasn't clear. Angel Hugger, I love it. You guys are awesome. Well, Anthony, that's a great question. Is Trump more of a dictator or a cult leader? Are they interchangeable terms? They are interchangeable terms in many ways, but not all. Dictators don't always have cults of personality built up around them. Often they do, but not all the time. And yeah, that might be my first thought as to the immediate difference. Also, dictators don't require a belief set that goes with them in order to be dictators. They are running the government. Government's not a belief set. Government's a different kind of entity than a religion or a dogma. So I think there's differences there. And let's see, dictators are often not considered supernatural or superhuman. Sometimes they'll develop that again when they're building cults of personality, but it's not required. It's not always the case, right? With cult leaders, it's kind of required. You need to have an image that people consider you superhuman, if not godlike. Okay, so... Oh, yeah, definitely. I'll definitely go over enough of the episodes that you guys will get a good idea of my thoughts and the breakdown on it and all of that for those of you who don't have Netflix. Absolutely. Yeah, I am going to go over the steps on how to become a cult leader. Yeah, that's why I wrote it all down. So it's going to be fun. I'm planning on having some fun with it. It's a kind of a fun show, and that's how I see it. I know there's been some critical response otherwise, but again, I'm getting ahead of myself. I don't want to start doing that podcast here, so you'll just have to watch it tomorrow. Now, what I was going to do last week was I was going to do this. I was noticing, and I've been talking a lot lately about how cults are really way more popular now than they ever have been. You have podcasts, you have a genre of podcasts, a genre of true crime that is sort of cult now that exists across the streaming services. You can talk about this subject on social media. The words are used. They're used incorrectly. I bitch about that all the time. But at least they're in use. People understand or have some concept, some understanding of how this stuff works, to the point where How to Become a Cult Leader becomes a trending show. And Shiny Happy People, trending show, right? Goes in, goes out. I mean, it's a quick fix kind of thing for entertainment purposes, but it brings awareness, even if it's just sort of subliminal, back of your mind kind of thing. You know, a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 from now, having seen those shows or having been exposed to Scientology or knowing about coercive control, when those red flags go off in the future, whether you are seeing them outside of yourself, red flags in the environment, or whether you're hearing red flags within, right? Your interoception, your interior perception, is setting off red flags. You're feeling like you're being love bombed. You're feeling like this person's too good to be true. You're thinking maybe something's not quite right in this Eden that's being presented to you. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's not that you shouldn't trust people, but it's a good thing. You should always be willing to be skeptical of anything. So that seems to be going into the public consciousness more. Just barely really starting, I think, from the way I look at the world and the way I think about these things. It takes a lot of repetition of message and a lot of repetition of the words and the concepts for people to really start getting their wits around it. Kind of like, people hear a little bit about narcissists and then they start misusing it. Same thing with cults. And of course, people will misuse this emotionally anyway, but it's still better, I think, that the awareness is out there. So I thought to myself, why is it good? What are the exact reasons why it's good, right? Featuring cults more prominently in media and raising public awareness about the topic can have several potential benefits. And what are those benefits? Seemed a fitting topic to discuss on my channel, right? So for the first, I've done a couple firsts in the last 2 weeks. This is the first time I have ever asked ChatGPT anything that mattered for anything. I think I've thrown a couple curves at it once or twice just to see what it would do. But this was the first time I ever went to a Chat GPT prompt and said, all right, let's see what it's got for me. And this isn't really that bad. I thought I'd go over this with you guys and see what you thought. Because, of course, Chat GPT is not thinking. As I understand it, and if you all can correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand how it works, it's not AI. It's an amalgamation of millions of data points that key in on keywords or phrases or ideas and puts them together and puts them in an English, translation so that we humans can read and understand what we've already put out on the internet. In other words, it's not creating new information out of nothing. It's amalgamating information from everywhere. And if that's accurate, then these answers should be pretty accurate. So I thought, well, let's give it a test and see. The other thing I tried this week for something new and different is I tried something called Night Cafe. I've tried my hand at some AI-created graphics or imagery, and I'm just tipping my toe into the pool of that, earning some, I'm not paying anything. I'm just doing some credit stuff on that. And it's been really fun. It's been interesting learning how to write prompts for AI to interpret, to create images. If you follow me on Facebook, and on Twitter, I think I posted pictures I created of Benson. I made a picture of Benson out of nothing. And that was kind of fun. So maybe that might have, I'm hoping that I can figure it out well enough that I can come up with some ancillary imagery for my news show. Oh, by the way, before we get into this, this news show is really fun. I hope you guys are checking it out. It's getting a few more views than I thought it would, and I'm happy about that, and I hope it continues. Because it's just a cult news show, and it's not Scientology, because that's what I do on Mondays. So it's other stuff. I got to break down the whole cult mom Lori Vallow Daybell bullshit murder crap this week, and talk about the JWs and children. Ugh. And some stuff like that. It's been really, really interesting doing this news show and really putting it together like a news show, and having, technical glitches that are just amateur hour, but I'm working my way through those. But the content, I really hope that you all enjoy, despite whatever, nonsense is going on with graphics or sound. I hope the stories are coming through, and I hope that they are quality, because that's where all the work really has been going. I haven't been putting... As you can tell, I haven't been spending a lot of time on the graphics. I've been spending a lot of time on the stories. So I hope that those are informative, and I intend on continuing that. It's a lot of work. It's more work than you might think, putting those together and putting it into a script where I just give it, so I have no... the reason I'm doing it that way is so that I won't mess up on anything or get facts wrong. It's all just right there on the teleprompt, and I can just kind of cycle through it that way and still give you guys, personalized news stories from me. Okay, so back to cults and why they are, why it's a good thing that cults are prominently in media and raising public awareness about the topic. 1, education and understanding. Media coverage can provide accurate information about what cults are, how they operate, and the psychological mechanisms they employ to attract and manipulate individuals. This increased understanding can help people recognize the signs of cult involvement in their own lives or in the lives of their loved ones. Not bad. Not bad. I said it myself, and I don't know that I said it any better than that. I think ChatGPT nailed it on that one. All right, number 2, as to why this is a good idea, or why this is a good thing that we are seeing and hearing more about cults out there. Prevention. By shedding light on the tactics used by cults, media coverage can help individuals become more resistant to manipulation and recruitment efforts. Knowledge about cults' strategies can empower people to make informed decisions and avoid getting involved in potentially harmful groups. And that is a very good number 2, because it's absolutely accurate. In fact, I would have made that number 1, because that is the whole point of what we're doing. Is we're not, attacking, at least I'm not, attacking cult individual members or trying to, call out people or something, cult leaders maybe, but, it's not about making people, it's not about making them wrong or doing something like that. It's about trying to educate so that y'all don't fall for the crap we fell for. Believe me, the last thing you want to do is waste years of your life in that headspace. It's such a waste of time. It's such a fantastic waste of time. So if we can prevent people from falling into that, and then not only the time, of course, but money and relationships and everything else. All right, now 3, another reason for why this is good. Support for victims. Cults often isolate individuals from their families and support networks, making it difficult for victims to seek help. Increased media attention can serve as a lifeline for those trapped in such situations, offering them information about how to escape and where to find assistance. Very true. All 3 of these so far have been things that I have personally experienced in doing my channel over the years. I have been told by many, many people that the education and understanding has improved their ability to, understand cults and understand their family. I've been told that I have, and the other channels that do this too. I don't want to. It's not about me. I'm just saying, I've had direct. What I'm trying to say is I've had direct feedback on these first 3 points over the years that that tell me these are true things, right? That prevention, it really does help people prevent falling into the cults in the first place. And there really is support for people inside cults. So, the Scientologists, Moonies, JWs have found my channel, have written to me way after the fact. I got out because, I started watching your videos and about Scientology, and I realized I was in a cult, that kind of thing. That it works. It really does. And it's a really warm, fuzzy feeling inside when that happens. Makes it all worth it. Now, this is a good one and an important one. Number 4, awareness for law enforcement. Raising public awareness can also help law enforcement agencies better understand the dynamics of cults and respond effectively when criminal activities or abuses are taking place within these groups. This is vital, and we are so far from adequately getting where the cops and police and law enforcement need to be in understanding cults. Thank you very much, Rev Girl. I recommend the doc Batman and Jesus on YouTube. Okay, I'll check it out. Cool. So that is something we need a lot more help and work with. It is out there. There are people doing that work. And there are police officers who find our work, and there is a better understanding now than there was, say, back in 93 when Waco happened. I mean, there's a better understanding now, I would say, than there was then. So 30 years later, we got something, but are we there yet in terms of really getting it, really understanding how these groups operate, what coercive control is, how it works? Nah, I don't think law enforcement is there yet. So I think we got a lot more work to go, but I think it's begun. Number 5, there's a lot of reasons here, actually. Yeah, there are 9 reasons. Okay, so number 5, research and study. Greater media coverage can encourage researchers, psychologists, and sociologists to delve deeper into understanding cult behavior, recruitment methods, and the psychological effects of cult involvement. This can lead to the development of effective intervention strategies and support systems for cult survivors. Again, nails it. Very true. Now, the barrier that ChatGPT is unaware of or hasn't noted here is the fact that there is a majority of people in academia who don't get it at all. And there are a minority of people involved in academia who are directly involved in cult studies or cult research. It's an extremely niche field. But the people who are involved in that, at least from the area of religious studies and sociology, almost one for one, absolutely positively do not get it at all and actually bend over backwards to support the cults. That's how bad that is. It's bad. It's not, I'm just, I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Academia has their head up their ass when it comes to cults. And there is a small slice of folks, right? The Rod and Linda Dubrow Marshalls, right? The Hugh Urbans, the people we have been seeing or hearing for years talking about Scientology and calling it out academically, that it's a handful of people. And the International Cultic Studies Association is not a large body of academics, and some of them are pro-cult, believe it or not. It's a little weird. So we got a lot of work to do in academia. And I have been in that world to the degree that I went and did post-grad. I have written papers. I am working on maybe writing more papers in the future. But it's not a world that I'm endeared to. I'm actually a little fed up with, the arrogance that is on display by these religious studies scholars and sociologists who front for the cults and are paid handsomely for it, by the way. It's quite corrupt and it's quite gross. So I've got quite a bit, obviously, to say about that. And that's just not right. So, yes, it's absolutely true that greater media coverage can encourage researchers and psychologists and sociologists to do more research. And I have been contacted by some up-and-coming folks who are interested in really honestly pursuing, what are these groups and how do we, fight back against them? And not even from an activist point of view, but from a what is up with this and why do people fall for this and how do we prevent this kind of thing from and that's good. I'm really encouraged by those emails and by those people. It really is needed. So that's a problem right now. Okay. Number 6, cultural and social conversation. Media coverage can spark conversations about the vulnerabilities that make people susceptible to cult manipulations. These conversations can lead to broader discussions about critical thinking skills, emotional intelligence, and the importance of building resilience against undue influence. I swear to God, I could not have put that better. That is impressive. That's quite good. And it's absolutely true. This is podcasts, this is books, this is newspaper articles, this is blog posts. We got tons of it, and we need tons more. Okay. Oh my God, Rev Girl, absolutely. I've done whole shows and podcasts on multi-level marketing and the anatomy of it and breaking it down for people. I interviewed a guy who wrote a book about it that was really impressive. I think that was about 2 years ago. If you want to look up MLMs on my channel and you'll find those podcasts. Multi-level marketing schemes are absolutely tailor-made cults. That is, they're using all the cultic techniques, all of them. And it's quite gross. And we're talking about Herbalife, Amway, any of those food, drink things, the makeup things, Tupperware. All of this crap. Total culty bullshit. It's really bad. And people fall for it hard. And they lose their money. They lose their relationships. They lose their whole social network over this stuff. It's not, don't get involved with MLMs. Just don't. Trust me, it's bad. Okay, so moving right along. Good conversation. Now, number 7 in our list here, demystification and destigmatization. By openly discussing cults in media, the topic becomes less taboo. This can help remove the stigma around discussing cult involvement and create an environment where individuals feel more comfortable seeking help or talking about their experiences. Very true. Very true. In fact, I've directly encountered this, where over the years of my life, and certainly I'm sure over the years of yours, you might have noticed an increased awareness and tolerance and understanding for mental health issues, emotional issues, bipolar issues, right? These kind of things, chemical or what are they? Disorders, right? Which is a little bit different from mental health issues as such. So all of this has been talked about more in the media, on Oprah, in magazines, in books, on podcasts, and all of it is helping people understand each other better. And I am 2 thumbs up on that every single time, because we need a lot more tolerance and understanding of each other in this world. So, hey, Mitch, welcome to the show. Glad you can come by. Awesome. Okay. Number 8 is preventing misinformation. With more accurate portrayals of cults in the media, there's a reduced risk of misinformation or sensationalism, excuse me, that can perpetuate harmful stereotypes or misconceptions about cults and their members. Okay, good. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely reduced risk of misinformation or sensationalism. I don't think we're there yet by any means as far as reducing the risk of sensationalism. I mean, let's be honest. Most of the exposure that is being done about cults these days is being done for titillating sensationalistic reasons. People are making an awful lot of money on it, and there are good shows and there are not so good shows. And it's easy to throw together a cheap show with a lot of cheap shots and a lot of really sensationalistic stuff and not teach anybody anything or even be very accurate. And then there is the middle line where you're trying to be pretty good about it and you're trying to throw in some blood and guts because that's what attracts people. And then you come over, we're kind of more over to my end of the world where it's kind of like, no, let me tell you how it really is and break it all down for real. And so you really understand it. And that tends to, as the sensationalism dies down, the interest level of the broad public dies down. And that's a reality we all have to live with as creators. And that's why we have to throw out the red meat sometimes, too, as creators. It's like, hey, look over here, and everybody's like, what's that? And everybody comes over and looks, and some of them are there to learn, and some of them are just there to rubberneck, right? And we deal with that, and that's fine. I get it. It's people. And so preventing misinformation, there's always that opportunity when we are educating and talking honestly and sort of non-sensationalistically. There's a handful about this. Then we hope we are also reaching some of those people who are only there to, to sort of gloat or there to think that, be on an ego ride of how they're better than all those cultists. Or, we hope we can get across to some of them at least, hey, there's a little bit more to know about. And some of them go, oh, wow, I never actually realized that before. And good. Mission accomplished, right? And it's a slow progress of education to the masses. So we hope we can do that. Okay, Mitch. Well, I'm going to do a whole review on that tomorrow, so I'm not going to talk about that too much more today because I already discussed the how to become a cult leader thing earlier, but maybe you're watching that now. I don't know if you're up to where we are right this second or if you're watching back, but anyway, I'm going to talk about that show tomorrow. Okay, 9, crisis preparedness. This is the final reason, according to ChatGPT, that it's a good thing that we are raising public awareness about cults in the media. And cult preparedness. Cult-related incidents can have a significant impact on communities and society at large. Increased media coverage can help communities prepare for such events, fostering cooperation among local organizations, mental health professionals, and law enforcement agencies to respond effectively. Not bad. Not bad. And there's a final note from ChatGPT here, which I'll read to you. It says, after listing all these 9 points, it says, however, it's important to approach the portrayal of cults in media with sensitivity and responsibility. Misrepresentation or sensationalism can perpetuate stereotypes, create unnecessary fear, and potentially harm individuals who are already struggling. Responsible media coverage should focus on providing accurate information, balancing the portrayal of cults with the broader context, and prioritizing the well-being of those affected by these groups. Okay, well, I'm just going to say it. I'm impressed on that particular topic, on that particular question. Nailed it. And I'm happy to share that with you guys. So, oh boy, yeah, tell me about it. Floridians. Oh my goodness. Okay, now let me open up the lines. 984-214-4154. If you want to call in, now's the time. This is a call-in show. We have now reached the call-in section of the show. So if you want to talk, give me a call. I will throw the headphones on. If you have questions or comments or whatever or anything else like that in the comments, you can also throw those at me there. Oh, yeah. I was wondering about that, Xen, actually, about how hard Big Blue was going to get hit with these huge rain problems. LA is not known for lots and lots and lots of rain. I recall the buildings not being in horrific shape, but not being in great shape either. And in terms of torrential rains, there could be issues at the Pac base. Those are not new buildings. Those buildings were built over, well, about 100 years ago, if I remember right. So I would not necessarily, I mean, they're big, concrete, hardcore buildings. They ain't going anywhere, that's for sure. They'll be safe in the buildings. But as far as leaks and inconveniences and stuff like that, I wouldn't particularly want to be living in Big Blue right now, especially in the upper floors. I hope they're going to be okay on that, but they'll probably be fine. And AOLA is pretty renovated. The back building, the CLO building's in pretty good shape, I think. I don't know. Those are my maundering thoughts about that. I tell you guys, I am really, I've been trying to not go there with politics more. But I just don't know how I'm supposed to not mention the fact that politics can be really culty. It's really hard to try to figure out how to say that without offending everybody. I mean, my politics aside, who cares? Who cares what I think about politics, right? But just the subject, just the whole topic. I mean, you can't, when it gets to the point where people are identifying so strongly with their side with these hats and shirts and flags and lawn ornaments and redecorating their house and billboards and all this stuff, you're like, these are just people you're voting for. They're not people you're supposed to be worshiping. They're not people you're even necessarily supposed to like. It's really this, I mean, it's become such a weird, twisted, bizarre thing. I don't know how I'm supposed to not talk about that, given everything I talk about. And yet, some people are just like, just turn you off the second you bring it up. It's scary. Yeah, exactly. I want followers. That's right. What you gonna do? Asha was built in the 50s, Mitch? I thought the whole complex was built in the 20s. In the 30s? I remember the pictures, and I thought they were from the 1920s. If I'm wrong about that, I'm wrong, but that's what I thought. I didn't realize Asha came after the fact of the main building. That's interesting. Yeah, exactly, guys. All right, now again, 984-214-4154 if you want to call in. I do have those lines open. Yeah, it just really is. If you haven't, by the way, I mean, just to comment on this, since we are on this topic, and I don't know, since I think I'm among friends. 50s is when Asha was built. All right, I'll take your word for it, Mitch. Have you guys read these indictments? I mean, wow. Wow. I mean, if you're into conspiracy theories, this is a real world conspiracy theory that just got blown apart. And in a way, it's one of because all of this is happening exactly the way it's happening is the exact reason I always go on about the fact that these global, Illuminati level conspiracy theories are just the stupidest things. You'd have to think everybody's a moron in order for this to be true, because they fall apart so easily. There are so many people who are working to keep the system in place and make it work that when a crew of people, bad actors, come around and try to dismantle or corrupt it or make it work for their own ends, and that's exactly what happened here, the system pushes back against all of that, and they are exposed. And this was a real live conspiracy with conspirators who are now being prosecuted for this. And I am there for it. I think it's hilarious, and I think it's awful, and I think it's tragic that we've come to this and that this has been allowed to happen in the first place, that this even could happen. This fourth indictment, the Georgia one, and the third indictment by Jack Smith, I mean, these things are like, wow. This was not just, and the whole Jan 6 thing was just ancillary to all of it. I mean, these guys the conspiracy was large. There were numerous people involved. There were a bunch of people sort of corralled into it who went along with it all the way up until the point that it really mattered, that they really had to put their, rubber meets the road. And then they were like, oh, wait a minute. These fake electors and Mike Pence and various other people involved with this whole thing. It was just fascinating read. I mean, really interesting stuff. So I really recommend, if you're not familiar with the details of these indictments, that you check them out. There's, I'll even go so far as to promote another YouTube channel on this one called Legal Eagle. I like this guy, and he explains, difficult legal issues fairly well and quotes right from the statutes. So it's kind of legal for dummies, but it's still the real deal. You got to follow along. And he broke down all of these things in ways that were very, very helpful to understand actually what really is going on and what is it that our former president is being indicted for. What are they going after? Well, they're going after some pretty serious stuff, like really serious. More so than I actually imagined would happen. Oh, one moment, please. I have a call in the queue. Oh, right. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Henny.
How are you?
I am so good.
Hello, Chris, my dear. I'm so glad. I wanted to call and wish you all love and critical thinking. And I wanted to, of course, add my 2 cents. I hope it's not long. I speak fast.
Go for it.
So I'm going for it. I wanted to tell you that a long time ago, a very long time ago, I was raised in Coney Island, and I was taught how to be a psychic reader. Now, to me, that was very cultic, but they showed how to manipulate and encourage people to give you their money and feel like you have given them something in return. You provide a service, and they willingly come in. It's not that you are going out and you are soliciting. Basically, you have your psychic reading, and they come in.
Yep.
And what you're supposed to do, and I was very, very young, so I learned very, very young how to read people. You first welcomed them with love and with warmth, and then you listened and you observed. And by observed, I mean you looked at their jewelry, what they, whether they were married, how many children they had, if they had children, what they were wearing. You pretty much were able to give them, and they offered it. They offered what they were looking for. You were able to add what you have observed to what they were looking for to convince them that what you were speaking was the truth.
Yep.
And
now,
is
this considered a? Is this what's called a cold reading?
Well, like I said, I was very young, honey.
Oh, okay.
I was very young.
Okay.
And so it was more considered, this is the way that you get people to give them your money, and you were considered better than they were because you were able to manipulate them into believing what you said.
There it is. That's right.
It was a very easy task, and their pockets were not full enough to give you what they wanted. And they had already stated what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you thought that this was not what they, what was coming their way, they wanted to believe it.
Yep.
So you were very easily able to convince them that you knew, didn't matter how old you were, what they wanted and how to attain it. And it was by giving money.
Yep.
And yes, and it was so prevalent, and it still is prevalent, even in today's world, because people want to know what is going to happen with them, when they're going to go on trips, how long it's going to be before they get married and have children, and they basically give you what they're looking for. So it's not that hard.
No, it's not.
No, it really isn't. I learned it at a very, very early age.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is that it's the whole point of manipulating children, because they were willing to give up the children. And I want to say, Chris, I saw your Wednesday podcast,
mm-hmm.
and it was so... it was just wonderful. It was so newsy. Can I say newsy?
Absolutely.
I don't even know if that's a word.
No, you can.
But
it is, and thank you.
Oh, please, no, thank you, because it's about time that we understand what the heck is going on, mm-hmm. and how to protect ourselves and our children.
Yeah.
More importantly.
That's right.
From becoming manipulated by cults that prey on people who are, they want to know the answers. They think that there's an answer to everything, when in reality, there are questions that have no answers. Okay? And maybe someday down the road they will, but right now they don't.
That's right.
And that has to be acceptable.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And people won't accept that. They just will believe that you, whoever you are, have the answers to everything. Let's say Scientology,
mm-hmm.
okay, which
mm-hmm.
also claims to have the answers to everything, when it's totally impossible. Okay? No one has the answers to everything. We know very little about our own brain, about where we came from, when it began, okay?
Oh, I don't know, honey. I don't know. I think there might be a couple people who might think they know everything. Just messing with you.
Oh, I'm sure they think that they know. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to say this, And then I'll go back to listening because I love when you speak and you are teaching so much. This afternoon, I was walking around and I was, pulled towards the library. And I went into the library and I found a Stephen King book. I love Stephen King. He just makes me feel good in a bad sort of way. Okay, so there was a book and it was in large print, which I need, and it was called The Institute. But of course, the way I looked at it was the institution. And growing up in an institution, I was like, what is this? I've never read a book like this. What year was this, actually written? And when I go to the first page, it said, for my grandsons, Ethan, Aiden, and Ryan. So I know that this is relatively a new book. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. And as I go through, just the first pages, I read the synopsis on the back. But I had a friend who has now passed away. But he used to say this to me all the time. And it was in the first pages of the book. And it says, but whoso shall offend one of these little ones, it were better for him that a milestone were hanged around his neck and that he would drown in the depths of the sea. And that was chapter 18, Matthew. Now, I'm an atheist, and I'm also, I was born Jewish, but I'm an atheist. But he always used to say that. And the whole point is, who offends one of the little ones? Who destroys a child's belief, okay? And makes them believe something that's not real. And that, in my mind, that's how I perceive it.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. I get that.
And the next page, unbelievably, was, according to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, roughly 800,000, let me repeat that, roughly 800,000 children are reported missing each year in the United States. Most are found, thousands are not.
That's right.
And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, this so relates. And I picked it up and I took it. It's called The Institute, and I'm going to read it probably this evening because it's in large print and I read fast. But it was, in my mind, to, we have expressed, and I know that we have a long way to go, to convince the adults on how not to be manipulated, on how to accept things that are without answer. There's some things that just, there are no answer. And there, and even if there is, we don't realize it at the time. But that doesn't mean that you have to believe in someone telling you that they have the answer to everything. That's a bullshit lie.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're more intelligent enough to know that, but we have to teach the children, like you said, with critical thinking, on how to realize that. Right. And so I wanted to just say that. And if anyone would love to, I love you, Antonio Ortega. You're the best. But your Wednesday, it was great. Please be a Patreon. Please learn. And then you can really help. And this is a wonderful thing you're doing. I'm so proud. And that's what I have to say.
Awesome. Thank you,
I hope Mel and Benson are good. Okay.
Right. Talk to you later.
Good night, Chris, and good night. Okay. Bye-bye. Good night, Critical Thinking. Bye.
I love Henny. All right. Yes. Okay. So all of the above. You guys were throwing some questions at me there. I will go ahead and throw a few answers at you. Yes, I have talked about martial arts cults. I've done a podcast with a guy who was in one. Kind of addressed that pretty thoroughly, and I would love to do another episode about that, actually. There have been, by the way, some martial arts guys who have put some videos together about martial arts cults and fake gurus that are hilarious. I would love to do one in that vein, but I'm not that funny. But there is some good stuff out there about martial arts cults and about martial arts gurus who are ridiculous. And if I get my funny bone in place, I would love to actually do a podcast about that sometime. That'd be awesome. Leslie, I did not have a hard time finding a place to do this degree because there was only one place in the world that offered it. The master's degree is in the psychology of coercive control. It's a specific program at the University of Salford. It's been offered for a few years now, and that is the program that is basically creating an army of ex and anti-cult activists and academics and workers and therapists. And it's doing an amazing job of that, teaching about coercive control. So no, it wasn't that hard to get. It was just, it was hard to make happen because it's over in the UK. And so thankfully the program went online so that I was able to do it over the COVID time. And yeah, Chris Wood, there is a ton of culty stuff in the manosphere, no doubt about it. I actually did an episode about that too. I should come back or circle back around on these topics from time to time, because I think my mistake. I'm saying this as I think this is a mistake. You guys tell me. But I think I feel sometimes like I cover something, or I've given an interview, or I've done a show about something, and it's kind of, well, there it is. I covered it. So, and instead I should probably be kind of circling back around to this stuff and revisiting it from time to time, because they are kind of evergreen, topics. They just keep giving. I mean, there are so many martial arts doofuses out there. It's amazing, right? And as far as the manosphere goes, holy cow. Yeah, I mean, Andrew Tate, I should do a show about that guy at some point. I would like to see the prosecution go through to completion and then cover that guy, but maybe I should dive in on him earlier, because talk about somebody who is like shady character and up to no good. I mean, some of these guys that groups of young men start following on social media or start emulating, they're Grant Cardone-like. You all know Grant Cardone, the shady Scientology business property guy. He's well covered on other channels, so I don't really go near him very much because he's just such a sleaze. But he's an example of the kind of toxic bullshit that gets around in the manosphere, and it's ugly stuff. It's ugly stuff. So, all right, guys. Henny, thank you for your call. Everybody who showed up tonight, thank you very much. I will again see you tomorrow for the live stream of Sensibly Speaking podcast, which will be at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. I already did that one. There's so many of these. Okay, we'll do this one. Your bias, from our cognitive biases and logical fallacies deck of cards. Optimism bias, okay? Here's their teaching moment. You overestimate the likelihood of positive outcomes. I am so guilty of this all the time. There can be benefits to a positive attitude, but it's unwise to allow this to affect our ability to be realistic. Ironically, if you're making more rational judgments, you'll actually have a lot more to feel positive about. I'll take it. Okay, guys. And so, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Sunday, I'm not sure yet if I'm going to go live or if I'm going to do a pre-recorded. It'll depend an awful lot about how tired I am after tomorrow's podcast. So hang tight on Sunday. It will probably be live. I'm leaning toward live on Sunday, but you'll find out. Watch the notices on the channel for sure on that. Okay. All right, and I will definitely pass on the good notes for Melissa and for Benson. Thanks, guys. I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.